everybody, I'm Kira Reginato, I'm the speaker seeker, and a lot of us are halfway through, middle-aged, and everything is hormones. Everything is hormones. Maybe some of you don't feel that yet, but you will, trust me. And it's not just the women, it's the men too. So I went to see Dr. Shiroko Sokitch. She was on my radio show a couple of times, and she talked a lot about this hormone stuff. And initially, I have to say, I was a little skeptical. But now I'm literally singing about it because I really realize how much hormones play such a vital role in our life, regardless of age. She has agreed to talk to us. She is an MD. She practiced in an ER for a whole bunch of years, and now she's an integrative physician doing Eastern and Western medicine. I've seen her for a hormone study and for acupuncture, so I can recommend her personally. And there's a whole bunch more on your bio, but I just want you to come up so they can get a feel for you and hear from you directly. Dr. Shiroko Sokitch.
Thank you.
Hi, everybody.
Hi. Good morning.
Get grounded here first. Well, I can talk about hormones and I can talk about just about anything for hours and hours. I've been practicing for over 20 years doing Chinese and Western medicine. And I used to be a surgeon and an emergency room doctor, so I have lots of stories and lots of things to tell you. But today, I wanted to give you something that you could take home that will help you change your life starting today. I'm going to give you a whole big background on it. Basically, getting old has a bad rap. In our country especially, the younger people are the more seen in the media, and looking good and feeling good is what we're supposed to be about. We're all afraid that we're going to get some terrible illness, or we're going to lose our independence, or we're going to lose control of our lives. And so we avoid the subject of getting old. And we avoid thinking about what's coming in the future, except to be possibly afraid of it. There was a period in my life where I banged my car into pretty much everything I did, every time I backed up. Not every time, fortunately, because I backed up a lot, but it was a time when I was going through a divorce, and it was a difficult time for me because I was emotionally devastated. The way I defined my whole life changed within a few days. I'm sure many people in this room have gone through a divorce. You know how your identity changes when you do something different. Well, I was arguing with it, and I didn't really know I was arguing with it, so when I backed up my car, I'd hit it against something. And it took me a while to realize that my car was sort of a representative of how I was facing my life. I was not wanting to see what was happening, so I didn't see what was behind me, and I would hit it. My insurance company loved me. I had a sense of not being in control of my life, and that's how it represented itself. Well, we all have times when we feel like we're not in control and we still have to function. We can learn how to function at our very best, whether we're in control or not, and that is some of what I want to show you today. You can live your best life, and you can take charge of what is going on in your life as much as possible, and you can and as you get older, life can get better. I first started exercising seriously. Okay, I went through lots of school, so excuse me for being slow to exercise, but I really started exercising when I turned 40. And as I first started, it felt like I always had more to do. I always had more fitness to get. And I realized that I could always get more fit. I could always get more healthy. And it was a personal revelation, but it was also something that I was able to share with my patients. You can always get more healthy. You don't have to stop being healthy because you get to be a certain age. You can always improve your life. And especially the things that we gain as we age are wisdom and perspective and experience. I've been blending Chinese and Western medicine for over 23 years, not 30 years quite yet. And I've helped thousands of people have better lives and be healthier. And I want to share some things with you today. We all want to look and feel younger than we are. And we want to enjoy whatever it is we're doing. And that's the purpose of being healthy. Being healthy isn't just so that we can be healthy. It's because we want to enjoy our lives, right? So what's the biggest secret to aging well?
Happiness.
Would you believe I'm 65 years old? The secret to aging well is lying about it. This is my favorite joke. But you don't lie and say you're 35. You say, I'm 65 or I'm 75. And then everybody will go, wow, you look amazing for 65, right? But if I told you I was 35, you'd go, oh. I have developed in the last many years of blending Chinese and Western medicine. The concept of Chinese medicine is a little bit difficult for people to understand in the West, so I've been trying to translate it into Western language so that it makes more sense. I just got back from this wonderful conference on Chinese medicine with a whole bunch of other doctors who do Chinese medicine, and there was that whole split between the science and how do you scientifically prove that acupuncture works, and the Tao, which is the philosophy of Chinese medicine, which is this beautiful spiritual thing. And the whole time in the conference, it was so amazing to have this description of how Chinese medicine works from a spiritual perspective, and then having the science that's backing it up. And it's wonderful because finally science is backing up the research and the thousands of years of Chinese medicine. So out of all the things that I've done, I've come up with 9 principles for true health. And I want to say it's my secret to living the life of your dreams. And it blends the Chinese wet medicine and the Western medicine and the physical and the emotional and the spiritual, because everything matters. True health, somebody said happiness a little bit earlier, and somebody else said peace. True health is not just having a good physical body, although it helps. True health is also having a healthy mind and a wonderful life. I'm going to give you a chance to ask questions at the end, and I've also put some information on the table for you. And I'm sorry, I didn't realize there were going to be so many of you this morning, so if you don't get material and you want it, you can always email me. My secret to true health is these 9 principles. The first one is to listen to your body, and I'm going to give you a really detailed description of that at the end of my whole list. It is really one of the most important things. The second is to think outside the box. And what I mean by thinking outside the box is that all of us grow up with certain perspectives, and we're taught certain things, and we're given information in a certain way. And especially when it comes to medicine, when you go to a doctor, you see a doctor and you get certain tests and you get told certain things, and there's a box that you're put in. If you're diabetic, you do this. If you have a high cholesterol, you do this. If you have arthritis, you take this medicine. And it's not the way that every single person is different, and it's not necessarily a good idea for somebody to do the standard of whatever it is. So when I say think outside the box, I suggest that you begin to look at your life when somebody says you have a physical condition, but also in many other ways. You don't have to do the things that you're doing just because somebody else told you to, or just because the Western medicine system says do it this way. Of course, I have thousands of patients who've all said, I don't want to be in the box that I've been put in. Help me be different. Help me feel a different way. And that's possible. The second is to, or the third is to take care of your physical health. So this is where you would need probably some expert help, where Kira was talking about hormones. Your hormones and your brain and your immune system. I always like to make a picture of a triangle, but I'm going to lose my microphone, so it's a triangle of the foundation of your health. When your brain and your hormones and your immune system are in balance, everything else sort of works around that. And that's one of the things that's really paramount in Chinese medicine. It's about keeping your body in balance. And taking care of staying in balance helps you be physically healthy. The fourth is lifestyle. So we all know that we have to eat right and exercise, and not everybody takes supplements, or everybody thinks that maybe a lot of people think that the food that you eat is enough to make you be healthy. But in our world, our diet and our environment is so polluted that sometimes you have to do extra things to take care of your physical body, like taking certain supplements, and to support the structure that you're trying to keep. I always think about it this way. When people were able to get all their nourishment from food, they lived on farms. They grew their food organically, they didn't use chemicals, and they didn't drive cars. They didn't go at 70 miles an hour across wherever all the time, and then when we fly in planes, we go at 800 miles an hour across the country. We're physical bodies, and those things impact our bodies. And so one of the reasons that I recommend supplements, depending on what a person's going through, is because our bodies are designed for one thing, and we have to support them to do what they do in our modern lives. The fifth is emotional and spiritual. And one of the many things that I love about Chinese medicine is that the idea is that energy travels through your body. And when your energy is out of balance, there are problems. And one of the main things each organ system in Chinese medicine has is different functions than Western medicine. But one is each organ has an emotional and a spiritual function. And over the years that I've worked with people, I've found that when people have a difficult time getting over something, it's usually because there's some underlying emotional stress. There was a young firefighter that I took care of a few years ago. He was about 35 years old, and he injured his knee. And he'd been having trouble with his knee for a year. And he came for acupuncture because he wanted to not have to have surgery. And there was nothing that they'd found that they could operate on anyway. He tried physical therapy, he tried resting, and he'd been out of work for a while, and he really wanted to go back to work. So he came for acupuncture. And I did a few treatments, and he didn't get better. And now that's not what normally happens when I do acupuncture. Usually somebody gets better, especially a young person, usually gets better in a short time. So I started asking questions. What's causing stress in your life? Is there anything going on? He said, no, my life is great. I'm really happy. My wife, sometimes she's a little bit fussy, but it's okay. You know, I've got a good life. And I asked him several times, and he kept saying that. And then finally one day he came in and he said, oh, I just hung out with my dad. I'm like, oh, how was that? Well, my dad's an alcoholic. Oh. And so I started talking to him about what it's like to be the child of an alcoholic and what might have happened to him. And he went home, and when the next time he came in, he said he'd read some books on adult children of alcoholics, so he really just took action. And his knee started to feel better. Now you'd think, why would your knee be connected to an emotion about something that happened to you as a child? But our bodies are connected to our spirits. When somebody says to me psychosomatic, there is no such thing, or I shouldn't say that, everything is psychosomatic. Everything, your body, your emotions, and your spirit cannot be disconnected. And your physical body is the house where your spirit lives. So when you have emotional stresses, if you don't process them one way, you're going to process them a different way. And usually they're going to be somewhere in your body. The sixth one is more on the spiritual, emotional side, and that is never give up. And anything worth doing, anything worth having, including good health, including a wonderful life, is worth fighting for. And so if you have some physical condition and you go to see a particular doctor and they say something to you and you don't like what they say, I'm not saying you should say just throw it away, but find somebody who will help you find the health that you want. Never give up looking for answers. Never give up on your body. And the other thing about having a physical body is that you don't want to be mean to your body. You want to be patient. You want to give it time to heal. You want to take care of it so that it can do what it's meant to do, which is carry your spirit around so that you can do all the things you're meant to do. 7 is trust. And what do you mean by trust? Well, so many people that come to me. I have a young woman who came to me who had breast cancer. And you know, when you're in your early 40s and you get breast cancer, it's pretty devastating. Well, it's always devastating when you get a disease, but she felt betrayed by her body. She felt like something had happened to her that she didn't deserve and that she hadn't done. And of course, that's true. She didn't necessarily deserve it. But she lost her trust in her body and she felt betrayed. And then she could not get her health back after the chemo and radiation because she couldn't trust that her body would ever be okay again. So no matter what happens to you, my advice is find a way to trust that whatever's happening in your body and is for some reason, and that you can heal, and that you can get healthier. So that's what trust is about, for me. Number 8 for me is believe in miracles. When I first started medical school, I was this idealistic 22-year-old. And I was in awe of everything that I learned about the body. It was like I felt so privileged and so lucky that I got to be in that setting. And I thought everything was a miracle, especially because in the first semester we learned about embryology, and you learn about all the things that can go wrong in the development of a human baby, and you're like, whoa, every time a human baby is born, it's like, whoa, what just happened? They're alive and they're normal, and the fact that we're alive every day is a miracle. And over the course of the many years that I did things, I did surgery as a residency and I did emergency medicine. And we were really trained to kind of have blinders on and only look at certain things and not pay attention to the human being in front of us. So I sort of lost my perspective on miracles. And then I got really picky about them too. It's like, well, if you're going to be a miracle, you better just heal that person right now. And part of why I do what I do is because when I was a small child, my great-grandmother died, and she was the person who loved me and took care of me in my family. And when she died, it was a big loss, and nobody told me what happened to her. They just said her heart stopped beating. And I was 5, and I'm like, well, make her heart beat again. And that was the day that I decided I wanted to be a doctor, because I wanted to make her heart beat again. And I've spent my whole life helping people not have pain and to be as alive as they can, because something about that experience gave me passion for that. So for me, the miracles are every single day that somebody feels even a tiny little bit better, and every single day that you're able to do what it is you love to do. And if you believe in that, you will always hold that for yourself. It's part of when I went to this conference where they were talking about the Tao, and they were saying, hold your highest good. No matter what it is you're experiencing, hold it as a possibility, because anything is possible. Why not hold your highest good? Why not hold your highest health? Why not believe you could live to be 110 or 120 and be healthy doing it, not just bound to a wheelchair and having to have everybody take care of you. And then the last of my 9 is fall in love with your life. And No matter what life you're living it for a reason, and if you love what it is you're living, you'll feel better. You know what it feels like when you fall in love? Yeah, it's wonderful. Forgot your name, but the book that you wrote, I'm so excited. When you're in love, you feel alive. You feel like nothing could go wrong. What if you could do that without being in love with another person, but just being in love? In love with your life, in love with everything that you want to do. So that's my 9 pillars. And I'm going to take the one, listen to your body, to more depth, because it's something you can do today. You can start today. So why would you want to listen to your body, and what does that mean? I went to a conference where somebody said, well, I don't even know why that would be my problem. Why would I have to listen to my body, and what does it mean? Well, okay, how many of you know when you're hungry? So that's listening to your body, right? You feed it. How many of you know when you're tired? Good. Lucky you, you get to know when you're tired. When you're tired, you go to sleep. Well, hopefully you go to sleep. So I'm going to take it just a little bit further. You can listen to your body, and it's talking to you all the time. It's kind of like having a little pet, you know, that's following you around, and it's saying, or, that hurts. That's your body talking. And I've had so many people, I did a seminar one day where I had a man come up front, and I said, okay, tell me what's going on with your body. And he said, oh, nothing's wrong with me. I'm fine. Which, you know, he had volunteered, so it was, okay, nothing's wrong with you. Okay, well, so I said, so let me feel your pulse. So I felt his pulse, and his pulse was weak in the digestive area. And I was like, oh, do you have stomach aches? Oh yeah, I have stomach aches every day. Okay. We learn to live with things that go on every single day, and we think it's normal. And not that you have to be a hypochondriac chasing every little symptom around, but if you begin to listen to what your body's saying, you can start to experiment in order to heal different things. People who have heartburn are usually eating the wrong foods. And all your body's telling you is that maybe the foods you're eating aren't the right foods, so you can start trying different things. And it's not about how much acid is in your food, it's actually about carbohydrates. Most of the people that I see who have heartburn chronically or have stomach problems when they eat is because they eat mashed potatoes with steak or muffins for breakfast or things like that. And those kinds of foods, our stomach doesn't like them that much. And so we get heartburn. Not everybody, but it's definitely something to pay attention to. Like, how can you change what you eat in order to get your stomach working better? Almost nobody needs to take those big drugs that are being prescribed, like protonics, and if they change their diet or if they listen to their body better, it would be a different experience. So how do you listen to your body? So one of the things that I find very commonly, and so you can all think about this or raise your hands if you want to, how many of you skip breakfast every morning? Only one? Oh, you guys are good. I see a lot of people who skip breakfast, and they're just too busy or they're not hungry or whatever. So if you skip breakfast, I'm going to talk right to you since you volunteered. If you skip breakfast, try eating breakfast. Just that simple. And if you don't skip breakfast, but you eat something for breakfast and you don't really know if it's the right thing, like if you eat a muffin and a cup of coffee, I don't call that breakfast. Although some people do okay with that, I don't know very many. It used to be my favorite food. Anyway, if you have something, like first thing when you get up or a half hour after you get up, have something that has protein in it, like an egg or a handful of nuts, or you could have a protein shake. Try it for a week and see how you feel by noon. Just pay attention, just see how you feel. And anybody who has not clarity about what they eat for breakfast, try this experiment yourself. Try eating something that's really super healthy for breakfast. And healthy, it's like eggs or a handful of nuts with some fruit or a smoothie that has protein powder in it. And see how you feel by 11 o'clock in the morning. See if you feel different. And just tune in, just ask your body, well, how am I feeling right now? It's such a simple little thing to do. And it will change your life if you do it. Another thing that you can try if you want to learn how to listen to your body better is to really listen to when you're tired. Like I used to, when I worked in the emergency room, confessions of a sugarholic here. But when I worked in the emergency room, there were a lot of times when I didn't have time to eat, and there would always be a chocolate chip cookie somewhere. So I would get a chocolate chip cookie and I'd eat it at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and I had no idea. I wasn't really tuned in with my body at the time. And it would be like I had to eat a chocolate chip cookie at that time of day or something. And actually, in hindsight, when I was in surgery residency, similar thing. I would be craving something to eat at 4 o'clock. Well, when I learned Chinese medicine, what I learned was at between 3 and 7 o'clock is the time of day when your kidney energy becomes most prominent. And your kidney energy is the source of your energy, period. So at that time of day, if you may not notice that you're tired, you may just suddenly have to eat something. And that may be the fact that you're tired. And for me, you know, I was working 24-hour shifts sometimes, or 36-hour shifts when I was in the surgery residency. I didn't think about tired, I was macho, right? So eating something was my way of coping. But a lot of you might have that same experience, I don't know. You're shaking your head over there, or nodding your head. So these are all little tiny experiments that you could do. Same thing with exercise. If you don't regularly exercise right now, one of the things that you could do is just get up 5 minutes earlier in the morning and do a few stretches. Just try it. After that conference, I just got back on Monday, after that conference, I started doing Qigong, because that's my new interest now. It's Qigong, because it's about balancing energy too. It's a way of exercising to balance energy. And you know, a lot of times I get up in the morning and I go to the gym and I do weights and I do whatever machinery kind of exercise I wanted to do that day. And I decided to try something different so that I could see what it felt like to be softer, to be more gentle with my own body. So far I like it. Open it up for questions right now. Does anybody have questions?
Yeah, I have that energy decline about 4 o'clock every day. And I usually have coffee, and that helps. But what else could I do that might be better?
Well, again, you could look at what you're eating. So you could look at your breakfast and your lunch and see if you're getting the right nourishment. There's one reason you get tired is eating the wrong food, and another reason is not having energy. So if you're eating a balanced, you know, protein-containing meal at lunchtime and you're still tired at 4 o'clock, then probably your adrenals are a little bit low in energy. It's usually your adrenal glands or your thyroid, so that's hormonal. And if it's that, then there are herbs you can take, you know, like go to the, or you could come to an expert and find out what hormones are out of balance and then figure out which way to balance them.
Because my doctor told me that I was not to take any hormones while I'm on this particular medication.
You don't have to take hormones.
No, I'm
to
on
balance
a hormonal thing for my medical reason.
Okay.
So that's pretty much out for another year. So I have a feeling that that's the thyroid or the adrenal because of my medical history.
Right.
Because I eat pretty decent.
Are you allowed to take herbs?
No.
Okay.
Just wait 1 more year.
Okay. Yes.
You didn't speak to hydration, and I'm curious about that. Sometimes I feel hungry, but I'm really thirsty. And I try to retrain my brain to think thirst rather than hunger at times. So what's your opinion on all that? Water and all that?
Good to drink water.
Yeah, a lot?
Well, in our Western way, we always think if a little is good, more is better. In our Chinese way, it's about listening to your body. Are you thirsty? And if you don't know if you're thirsty, then you maybe have to train yourself to get thirsty. Because I'm one of those people, I'm kind of like a camel, I'll run all day long and forget to drink water. So I have to force myself. But drinking a whole gallon of water at one time is not the best idea. It's best to kind of stay hydrated throughout the day. And that's another, like basically that's an opportunity, you could play with that and see, are you really hungry? Have a sip of water, see if it helps. And then if you're still hungry after the sip of water, then have something to eat. More questions? Yes?
Would you go into medications versus supplements and the conflict between them? And you have a medical background, so you come from that end of the sphere, but when people are getting older, they're using some supplements, but their doctors have been giving them medications for years. Talk about that conflict that the older ones come into play with.
Yeah, and I mean, it can definitely be a conflict. You know, this is an opportunity to think outside the box. This is an example of how to think outside the box is, first of all, to figure out what's happening. Because some medication, what's it doing? Is it for symptoms? Is it to suppress something? You know, so first of all, you have to look at what medications a person's taking and why are they taking them and what are they willing to do to have a different life. There's a way to do everything. And so for me, it's not a conflict. I have a gentleman right now, he's 72. He's had heart disease, he had a bypass, he has Parkinson's, and he had prostate cancer. And the bypass was like 10, 15 years ago, so he's a very good patient. He does exactly what his doctor tells him. He takes his medicine. And then when he got the prostate cancer, he had treatment to lower his hormones, and then he got Parkinson's. And one of the herbs that you can use for Parkinson's is a herb called Mucuna pruriens, and it's got a natural dopamine, and Parkinson's is because your dopamine levels are low. So I wanted him to take it. Well, it turns out that Mucuna pruriens also raises testosterone, and he didn't want to raise his testosterone because that would raise his PSA. And he's on a low-fat diet, and I want him to have a high-fat diet because high fat is better for the brain. And so the way I see it, or the way I experience what's happened to him, is that everything that he was told by conventional medicine to take care of his heart disease and his prostate affected his brain so that now he has Parkinson's. And he's very sweet. But he doesn't want to change anything because he's been successful taking care of his heart and his prostate. So I work with him around that. I've spent I've spent a little bit of time trying to get him to eat more fat and to cut back on any like high sugar carbohydrates, because good fats help your brain. Good fats help your hormones, your brain, and your immune system. It's one of the, like if you're going to do one thing to help yourself, that would be the thing that you would do. Does that answer your question? Sort of? If you have more, I'm happy to talk to you more. Yes, anybody else? One more question. Yes?
Define good fat.
Any animal that has been fed its natural diet, so grass-fed beef, organically raised chickens that are fed the food that's natural to them, will produce fats in their body that are omega-3 fats, which are healthy for us, for our immune systems and our brains. So omega-3 fats, omega-6 and 9, and now there's this whole, for a long time they said no fat that's solid at room temperature is okay, but it turns out that coconut oil is a really, really good fat, and it has something called medium-chain triglycerides. So there's, the thing about science is that science is always changing and we're always learning new things. And the most exciting new arena is really brain chemistry and brain health. And our brains need fat. We're fat heads. So there are bad fats, and the bad fats are really the fats that come from like animals that were fed grain, or farmed fish that was fed grain. And so whatever diet's not natural to that is not good for us. French fries, the fat in French fries, not good. Actually, in Chinese medicine, French fries, ice cream, and beer are probably the 3 worst things you could have. Sorry to tell you that. Did that help? Okay, yes. Okay, so if anybody has questions, please feel free to find me at the end. There's a little handout here, and I'm about to start a spring cleanse. And one other way to learn to listen to your body is to change something drastically, to do something big for a short period of time, and then go back, or so slowly go back into your old life and see how you feel different. So twice a year, I host a cleanse. And I'm doing a free evening this coming Tuesday at my office, where you're welcome to come, and we're going to talk about the cleanse, and if you want to sign up for it, you can. I have an email list, because I'm coming out with a book finally at the end of this year, and if you're interested in any more information, you can get on my email list, and I send out newsletters and keep you updated. Don't back up into your life.
Yeah.
Face it head on. And take care of your body, because if you don't, where else are you going to live?